So what's going on YouTube? My name is Doug Jenkins. I wanted to give you a little bit of a tour of the stuff that I'm using today. I've had the opportunity to work with multiple studios, so you guys don't see as many YouTube videos with me, but that doesn't mean that I'm not working. I think sometimes we get that perception like, oh, are you still mixing? And a gentleman asked me that on the channel. It's like, actually, I'm mixing more than I used to. So I do a lot of stem masters, and what the stem master is, I wanted to talk about. And, if this is something that could benefit you, then, we love working with people. And that's why I've sort of stepped away from the videos. But I talked to a gentleman, one of my good friends, Freddie. He's going to set up a studio room with 7.1 and Atmos capability. And we're going to start working together. And then I'm going to have videos from a gentleman named the Moondog. I call him the Moondog. He has a huge investment in a really, really equipped mastering, mixing studio. I mean, it's top shelf. And we're going to go through his spot, and we're going to talk about some of his gear. And I think the first episode is going to start with him introducing himself and being funny. He said one of his compressors cost more than its car. So it did. It's a Fairchild. So he's got two of those. So yeah, that kind of gear, awesome stuff. So you guys will be able to check that out. I want to give you a little quick run through of what I'm using today in my studio. I've got rid of quite a few things, and I literally have the right side of my rack over here. I wanted to talk about that. That's my Portico side. It has a 16 channel summing mixer. We run that from a separate system. So if you send us stems, we can do up to 16 stereo, because we'll actually use the sends to hit the actual amplifier in the Neve. So we have 16 available, or you can do 32 mono. And what we recommend when you send that, if you're going to send, or if you just want to know about this process, is you should have your finished stems, like your finished drum bus, finished, vocal buses and so forth. And then what that does, I'll show you how we have it routed. So that feeds out of this. Now these two Porticos, really, really love the sound of them. I don't know if there's anything out there that really has done a better job for me than these. To the late Rupert Neve, I mean, shout out to you, man. You did something incredible here. These have huge headroom, awesome compressors, awesome de-essers, the high pass and the side chain where you can link it to the compressor, so you can leave alone 250 and down, to create that big sounding massive, hip hop pop stuff like that. And then that hits the stereo bus compressor. But prior to that, this is how I have it running. I have this more like a mastering rack, but I've been doing some tracking here. I have simplified my mastering rack so much that this stuff just sounds better. I've shot it out with different things. I've done other things. I've done other processes. I've tried other processors. I've tried multivariate processors. And I just really like what these do for today's sound. They're very clean, very modern sounding, and they have insanely awesome frequency response and dynamic range and headroom for your tracks. So what this does is feeds this new piece by SSL. This is the SSL Fusion. Like I said, I simplified my life a little. But I have this, if you look at the insert button here, the insert, when this thing turns on, it's turned blue. Let me turn it on. Sounds like those teeth. Check it out. Pretty cool, right? Like those chattering teeth. So my insert's blue. Now what that is on that, this becomes mono, this becomes stereo. Gives me really great control with two really great pieces of gear to do mid-side processing. On the last master we had a little bit of a de-esser. We had a little low shelf, high shelf. And then I like the amplification gain stage. I'll do a video on that separate. So that's what we do. And then that feeds, I have a nice EQ. I have a Moog EQ and some other gear we'll talk about later. But then I upgraded my computer to an M2 by Mac. And I'm going to tell you guys, I did a video on that. This is the M2 Pro. I did get a little bit more. I had the M2 base model, but I'm telling you right now, for $600 on the base model, I mean, you should be able to do pretty much everything you need to do. If you get into real big high track counts with like VSTs, virtual instruments, I mean, you might want to get a little bit bigger computer. But man, for mixing and in plugins, it's unbelievable. So the other thing I got that I plan on doing a video on is I have the UC1. I've been using the SSL plugins a lot. I've been using the Universal Audio plugins a lot. And I just have a little Presonus controller for start and stop. So this thing's pretty neat. I like it. I'm still getting used to it. So that's pretty much the rack of stuff. In the back, I don't think I've ever shown anybody, but I have Bauer & Wilkins, and we're still finishing the ceiling if you see that. But the Bauer & Wilkins, these are the classic Bauer & Wilkins 801 Matrix speakers that were found in Abbey Roads. These are the special edition. I have shot out speaker after speaker after speaker, and for clarity and flat and overall, how do I say this? These speakers work really well with me. Bauer & Wilkins, you do awesome. I mean, they're incredible. So down here, I'm going to show you a little secret weapon. This is the 10M. That's from the Antelope Company. This is the one thing that you have to talk people into. A lot of my engineering buddies, I'm like, dude, just buy it, please. It's very expensive, but it creates, I would say, the most analog-like sound in the digital domain. Clocking and conversion is really important. So let's talk about clocking and conversion. So over here, we still have the Pure 2, one of my favorite interfaces that Antelope made. Shout out to the Antelope Company. People say they got bad service. They got awesome sound quality. So it's like a, it's like a balancing act with them. So this is a case of the balancing act. I was going to do a video on this, but sadly I could not get it to work with any of my computer's USB. So the way that I'm using it now is I have like a playback system for my summing right here, the older cheese grater Mac. And this is hooked up ADAT. Believe it or not, shout out to Sweetwater on this one, Brian at Sweetwater. He said, dude, why don't you just get one of these and run it ADAT? So this is a little DigiFace interface. People ask me this a lot. That's why I'm doing the video. But this is how I run all my interfaces besides my mastering converters. So these are all other interfaces. We have a old Digi running to it. We have the Amari running to it. And it allows me to be more flexible in the studio. And RME, that was like one of the first interfaces I ever bought as an engineer. And I was like, you know what, dude, it never had issues. The thing works. If you want a rock solid interface, I'm running all my interfaces. If I want to use that sound card to use everything in the studio, I can run them all fiber optic, which is cool. Now, there are limitations to that. You can't go 192. You can't do things like that. That's why I have them separately ran so I can do bigger projects with 192. And this converter, if you didn't know, goes up to 384. Check it out. That's insanity. So this converter, a lot of people really love the sound of it. It's got like a 3D sound. So I use this DA. It's routed to all the gear in that rack, but I can also just hook up to it USB. And we have another cheese grater that we're going to put in that you can actually just play virtual instruments from Native Instruments and so forth when people come over. I've been working with a band called Recess, and I set this up over here so he can just plug into it with his laptop. He does a lot of production. And what else? Sorry, I'm like getting out of breath here. Gotta start working out. But yeah, where have I been? So all you guys that watch my videos, I called the Moondog. I called Freddie. I said, I have to start doing more videos. I said, dude, I took such a break that now I feel like I'm not even relative anymore. And I said, that was like something that I loved doing. I loved YouTube and I want to get back to it. Like seriously, it was one of those fun things for me, like where I would like meet all these people and get projects to work on and ask and answer questions. And it became really overwhelming because that was in like the beginning days of YouTube. And now it's like you have people that are YouTube stars and all this stuff. And I was like, dude, I got to show some of your gear and all the cool stuff we're working with. I'm working with a gentleman named Bad Boy Dave. Shout out to him. He, I think over the last 10 years, has done like 16 albums. I work with a gentleman named Mike Kostensky. If you're in the Kent, Ohio area, He owns Mike's Place in Kent. It's an awesome thing. He's got an X-Wing out front, and I do a lot of promotion for him. Coming up shortly, I don't know, may start working with a gentleman that is has a very well-known business, and I got to work with him. I got to work with other people out of my state, but working on huge projects. I've got to do Audible books. I've got to do forensic audio in courtrooms. I've been busy. Like, I didn't just say, oh, I'm done with this thing. And I think that's the way we assume it when somebody leaves the internet. They're like, where did he go? Did he just leave? Like, is he done? And the answer is no. We want to get back to mixing more. We're just getting into Dolby Atmos. So like I said, we're going to set up a studio to do that. And between the 3 locations that I'm fortunate to work out of, you could get any album done at any quality you want. So be on the lookout. I just wanted to give you a little rundown of my studio. And also I have a bunch of stuff like MPCs and things like that, but we'll talk about that later. Oh, let me show you this. This is our tracking room. It is a mess right now, though. Look at this. Holy smokes. That's what happens when bands come over. But yeah, we built a room, built a second room here. Still in the process, but that's what's been going on. No, I didn't stop mixing records. I'm actually mixing more, and I'm actually mastering more. So thanks for staying tuned. If you're still subscribed to this channel, I absolutely thank you. I know you've been patient, and hopefully I can give you more content and answer questions. If I've missed a question, I apologize. Yeah, life got busy. I also did a lot of years of coaching baseball, and now that's slowing down so I can get back to the videos and use some of my spare time to hopefully help you out if you're at home. And that's what it is. So that's our studio, and we'll see you later. Peace.